Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more comics. And just to let you know, we did start reviewing Watchmen Season 1. Wow. I had some slightly burned Arby's curly fries. And they're a little... they're still right there. So anyway... We just started reviewing Watchmen Season 1. Episode 2 review will be coming out later tonight. Episode 3 will be tomorrow. We're also doing his... Oh my god, I still can't remember how to say that title. What in the hell is wrong with me and this title? It's in the other show on HBO. His... Whatever. It's the show with the guy from Hamilton and the girl from Logan. Good Lord. So anyway, we're going to be talking about Venom, number 19. This is a standard cover. While I have no interest in the Mary Jane book at all, I love this cover. That is dope as hell. So I wasn't going to talk about this, but after reading it, because I mean on first glance, when I looked at the cover and everything, I was just like, I was going to kind of just skip the rest of my comic book, like Amazing Spider-Man 32 is like over a week old, and let's just say the writing's fine. I wish the art would be more consistent. And then the Marvel Zombies, I might talk about that next week or maybe later on tomorrow. I don't know, but. To talk about this, okay, see, Absolute Carnage, everybody's loving it, right? I love Donny Cates. I think he's a really, really, really great writer. In fact, I mean, it's why I've been getting into Redneck quite a bit. I'm liking that a lot. But for me, Absolute Carnage is kind of, it's a very tight story. If you really think about it, it only takes, Absolute Carnage is really only like, what, a couple of days of Venom and Spider-Man and everybody's lives. And to be honest with you, aside from Immortal Hulk's book and a couple of moments in Amazing Spider-Man that have to do with Norman Osborn, and the fact that it's a great Eddie Brock story, Absolute Carnage to me is kind of boring. But then they definitely revitalize it a little bit here with a very cool reveal. Well, I don't know if it's a reveal, but it definitely like puts some adrenaline back into the story, because Dylan to me is just kind of, your typical kid character. Really nothing interesting about him except that he's Eddie's son and Eddie's trying to protect him. But that definitely shoots up this issue definitely jumps his character up quite a bit in interesting factors, because by the way, the artist Iban Coelho, who's been drawing Venom, and Absolute Carnage is just, I love this guy's work. So we get recap here, and while the art is fantastic, it's like, how many times can we see Carnage mess with Gargan? So it's a lot of recapping. Eddie's version of events of, losing Miles and all this stuff. Like, we're kind of wasting pages here. Like, we keep filling in the blanks. If you didn't read this, here's this. And, I can't deny that the art is cool. And, Evil Reed Richards getting all these symbiotes is cool. But, let's jump the story ahead. I mean, we do have this really cool moment where Spider-Man gets the fastball special treatment from the Thing, which gives, Wolverine that look there in the corner. I love that. And when Spider-Man's like, literally Wolverine is right there. And Thing he hits Captain America, who's getting flung. And so I'm like, yeah, all right. But the most important thing here is when Dylan goes to get Sleeper, who is one of the symbiotes, one of Venom's children. He lets him out. And a couple of things about Sleeper is that what I dig about him is they say he can make any... What is it? They say it here later. That he's capable of making any chemical from his body. So that's really cool too. So Dylan lets Sleeper out, and this begins like this pact. Like they're gonna say like, look, from here on out, it's not just gonna be you and me. It's gonna be, and you think he's about to say us, right? So that Dylan was about to become like Eddie and Venom. And this thing gets around him and comes into his body, and then we get this crazy scene where he tries to infect his body, but something else is already there. Now, is this because when Venom, or when Eddie conceived Dylan, that because the symbiote was a part of him, Dylan became part symbiote himself? I don't know. That's kind of my first inclination, but that's really cool. He starts kind of speaking in a language, but see, Sleeper doesn't even know who he is. So this raises Dylan's cool factor up like 1,000 times for me, because honestly, I'm just not that big into like the kid's story, like him and Normie running around. Like I don't want the kid to die or nothing, but I just don't really care. And so, we get the more cool art from, the heroes fighting, But then, another cool moment that does have to do with one of the other tie-ins is Hawkeye shows up. And I'm a big fan. I like Clint, okay? I know some people don't like Clint. I really do. He's no... Oliver Queen and Clint Barton are kind of different guys. They both kind of have that brash attitude. But I really like him. So, you see him hit the guy and, blows him up and everything. And Sleeper comes out like a wolf. Like this big symbiote wolf next to Dylan, who's commanding him. Right? So he's like, Sleeper, kill. And he has to do what he says. So that's interesting, right? Because at first you think, oh, well, Sleeper's on his side, so why wouldn't he, right? And then they give the whole part about the chemical thing, and he says, it's not slobber. Like, he gets it all over, Maker. And it turns out to be not slobber, but napalm. And I mean, you get Clint saying, like, what does he say? Yeah, he's like, metal. And he just torches Maker. I mean, kaboom. And that's really, really cool. But then after that's gone, and they're trying to find Maker, and he's like slinked like Pennywise into the sewers. You get this information. Everybody's kind of, they're working on little Normie. But then Sleeper says to him, "Don't ever do that again. I'm sorry, I had to do something. It just kind of kicked in like instinct. I didn't even know I could. Controlling a living thing against its will is unethical and, hey, how's Telcar?" And Sleeper kind of looks at him like, what? Like, kind of like, huh? And it turns out that they're fine, right, So apparently, Dylan can control symbiotes. Or at least he could control Sleeper. Was it because Sleeper tried to become part of him and infect him in a way, I guess, like symbiotes do. So this is really, really interesting. This is probably going to have a key role in the end of Absolute Carnage and Venom and Eddie's story going forward. And then he turns into a cat. Eddie comes home, and we get this really touching moment. It's so bizarre after all these years. I knew Eddie from the late 80s and 90s as just this hardcore villain who, moved to San Francisco and tried to become this like anti-hero, to this father and this earnest character who's really trying to do good. And they have this great embrace. And it's just so crazy how far Eddie Brock has come as a character. And now with Dylan being whatever he is, Venom just keeps getting better and better, and it's going to suck when Donny Cates isn't writing it anymore. I know he's moving to Thor after Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know how much longer his run will be with Venom, as hopefully as long as possible. Excellent book. It may have a lot of kind of pages of stuff we've seen before. It has some cool moments, but the Dylan stuff is the biggest part. If you can pick this issue up, I would say pick this issue up big time, because this is a huge character moment in this series. This is probably this is one of the most important tie-ins that they did for Absolute Carnage. Makes it worth cover price, because look at this cover. This has nothing to do with what's inside that book. So, 2 thumbs up for Venom number 19. I can't wait to see how they close this story out now and where Venom's going. I mean, I heard about this Venom Island thing. I know other people may be a little more excited about it than I am, but as long as Donnie's writing it, I'm on board. So if you like this review, please hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. If you want to talk comics or follow me, and we'll talk about movies and TV shows and everything else. So this is Robert Smirky Gun Reviews saying, keep reading comics. Make sure to go to your brick and mortar stores, support local comic book shops, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great night. Peace. If I can turn it off.